Welcome back to Psychology Decoded. Today we're going to enter a world few men ever get to see. What truly happens inside a woman after the divorce. The grief, the ego repair, the rediscovery of self that often looks like freedom, but feels like loss. By understanding this, you'll see not just how women heal, but why some never do. If you find this kind of deep dive into human psychology meaningful, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more insights every week. When the papers are signed, the silence hits harder than the arguments ever did. For years, her reflection wasn't just in the mirror, it was in his eyes, in the way he said good morning, in the rhythm of routines that made her feel real. Then suddenly that mirror disappears. Divorce doesn't just take away a partner, it erases a role. Wife, caretaker, center of someone's world. What's left isn't peace, it's emptiness. The kind that forces her to ask a question she hasn't faced in years. Who am I now that no one needs me? Psychologists call this the identity collapse. In long-term relationships, many women fuse their sense of self with emotional validation. They become what they give. Every gesture, every sacrifice becomes a quiet investment in being chosen. So, when that bond breaks, the self cracks with it. Freud called it narcissistic injury, the wound that isn't about love lost but about being unchosen. It's not just heartbreak, it's ego death. The mind panics to rebuild meaning, replacing we with I, our plans with my survival. And yet she rarely shows this chaos, because vulnerability now feels like failure. She'll say she's fine, she'll smile at brunch, but inside, the scaffolding of identity has fallen, and no one even heard the collapse. This is where her transformation begins, not in freedom, but in fragmentation. What comes next isn't healing, it's performance. A show of liberation built to hide the wreckage within. After the collapse comes the show. New hair, new clothes, a sudden burst of confidence that feels rehearsed because it is. She tells the world she's rediscovering herself. But what she's really doing is rebuilding the illusion of control. Freedom becomes her armor. Brunches with friends, weekend trips, soft-lit selfies, captioned with words like healing and rebirth. But every performance has a purpose, and this one exists to silence the question that haunts her most. Did I make a mistake? Behind every "I'm thriving" post is a quiet tremor of doubt. The modern world rewards visibility, not vulnerability. So she performs joy because grief makes people uncomfortable. She performs confidence because fragility invites pity. She performs freedom because being forgotten feels like death. In psychology, this is called reaction formation, a defense mechanism where we act the opposite of what we truly feel. It's why the loudest declarations of happiness often hide the deepest pain. The glow-up isn't healing. It's camouflage, a distraction from the hollowness that silence amplifies. She convinces herself she's moving on, until the nights stretch longer and the likes stop meaning anything. Because performance cannot replace presence, and when the world stops watching, the mask begins to crack. The photos fade, the attention quiets, and she's left alone, not with the man she lost, but with the self she never met. This is where the façade ends, and the echoes of attachment begin to haunt her. She deletes his number, but still remembers it. The mind doesn't erase love, it repurposes it. Every scent, every song, every drive past a familiar street becomes an accidental séance, a way of summoning the ghost of what used to be. Even when the relationship is gone, the attachment system remains active. It's like a limb that's been amputated but still itches. This is called the phantom bond, where emotional reflexes outlive the relationship that created them. She checks her phone, not to reach out but to feel what used to be there. The absence becomes its own form of connection. And so, the cycle begins. Memories replay, not for nostalgia, but for regulation. Because in the silence after separation, pain is easier to feel than emptiness. Some women reach back out, not for reconciliation, but for equilibrium. a text, a casual check-in. It's not love she's seeking, it's emotional gravity. Freud once said that love is a repetition, an attempt to heal an old wound through a new person. But after divorce, there is no new person yet. So she turns inward, replaying old scenes like unfinished arguments. What if I had stayed? What if he had tried harder? What if I had been different? These questions don't seek answers, they seek closure. Yet closure never comes from the past. Jung described this as the shadow, the repressed parts of self that we project onto the people we love. In marriage, she saw her light through him. After divorce, she meets her shadow alone. And what she finds there isn't romantic. It's raw, because beneath the anger, beneath the justifications, lives something harder to face. The truth that she still cares. Not because she wants him back, but because he still represents the version of herself she hasn't forgiven. This is why even the strongest woman can't fully move on, not until she stops chasing closure and starts confronting the echo. Regret is a quiet visitor. It doesn't knock, it lingers. At first, she mistakes it for nostalgia, the random memories that arrive while she's driving, cooking, scrolling. But over time, it grows heavier. It's not that she wants him back, it's that she misses the version of herself that existed when she was loved. Yet she can't say this out loud. The modern narrative doesn't allow it. Society tells her she's empowered, her friends remind her she deserves better, and every self-help post assures her she's finally free. But freedom without direction is just isolation in disguise. Behind the curtain of empowerment, she wages a private war between pride and loneliness. Pride tells her to stand tall, that she's doing better without him. Loneliness whispers that the nights are longer than she imagined. And when those two voices clash, the mind does what it always does. It rewrites the story. She starts to remember only the bad moments, the arguments, the distance, the tears. This is cognitive dissonance, the brain's way of protecting her from the pain of doubt. If she can convince herself it was all toxic, then regret loses its power. But somewhere deep inside, a quieter truth remains. That maybe it wasn't all bad. That maybe both of them were just unhealed versions of themselves. Yet admitting that would threaten the entire emotional defense system she's built. So she doubles down on the story. She'll call it closure, but it's really emotional survival. Because if she lets regret in, she risks collapsing all over again. And so she rebels against it. Not through anger, but through denial. The rebellion keeps her strong, but it also keeps her stuck. Until one day, exhaustion sets in. The performance fades, the rebellion quiets, and what's left is not regret anymore, but acceptance. The kind that doesn't erase the past, but integrates it. This is where she finally stops fighting the pain and starts learning from it. Healing doesn't begin when she moves on. It begins when she stops running, when the noise of empowerment fades, when the pride dissolves, when she finally sits in the silence and realizes there's no one left to perform for. This is where the reconstruction begins. Slowly, quietly, she learns to exist without being someone's mirror. The mornings are still heavy, the nights are still long, but somewhere between them she starts to breathe again. She stops posting quotes about strength. She stops proving she's okay, and instead, she starts building something she's never truly known. A self that isn't defined by validation. Psychologists call this identity reintegration. It's the stage where pain turns into wisdom, not because she forgets what happened, but because she finally accepts why it had to. She understands now that solitude isn't punishment, it's clarity. That peace doesn't come from freedom. It comes from self-ownership. She no longer seeks closure from him because she's given it to herself. The illusion of the perfect marriage dies, but in its place something far more honest grows. A woman who no longer fears being alone. Jung once wrote that the purpose of suffering is transformation, and that's exactly what she's done. She's taken the fragments of who she was and built something stronger, not unbreakable, but aware. Because awareness is what makes love real. Not the fantasy, not the vows, but the understanding of what love costs and what it cannot fix. The woman she becomes after divorce is not the woman she was before marriage. She's quieter now, sharper, and far less easily fooled by the promises of forever. In the end, the divorce was never just an ending. It was a reckoning, a forced encounter with her truest self. The kind of transformation that doesn't show up in photos, but in presence. And that is what peace looks like, when the war is finally over. In the end, the divorce isn't the death of love. It's the death of illusion. And from that death, something real can finally begin. If she's brave enough to stop performing and start becoming. This has been Psychology Decoded, where we turn emotion into understanding and chaos into composure.